Hi everyone, it's Adrienne Leah. This is uh, a bit of a review of the Goddess Dream Oracle. I've been loving this deck. It says take her hand through this Goddess Dream Oracle and reconnect to your own intuition and remember who you really are. Goddess will reveal herself through her dark mysteries and depths of the forest, to her splendor waves of the sea, and guide you in search for your inner truth and purpose in your higher self. And the artist and author is Wendy William. So this deck, the way it functions, it reminds me of the Aboriginal Dreamtime Oracle. It's such a deep deck that it gives profound meanings, and it really does feel like it's coming from within, and it's coming from resurfacing energy and the type of information that you may get from a dreamlike state. And if you were to dream of something and then find your own interpretations and symbolism for what you find in your dream. And it even takes you on a bit of a journey on reaching those places in yourself that you don't really think about on a regular everyday experience. In a way, it's similar to you don't really have all deep conversations. Sometimes you have everyday conversations. This is definitely one of those deeper conversations. So even from the beginning of this deck, when I first got this deck, and I haven't had it for a long time, but the messages have been amazing and my experiences with it have been. So this is the first card that I ever pulled, and I love the imagery to it too. And sometimes I'm not looking at the word and I just focus on the image, or I could do both, or I just go for the what it says. And I like looking at the book too because that's where the magic is as well. So it does remind me of the Nine of Wands and how it harnesses energy, and it's definitely one where you want to balance your priorities and focus on things that are true to your values and things that you would like to manifest and go further in your life. More of an expansion card, and I'm getting that a lot with her position and her background, how she's harnessing even in her mindset too. She has long hair, which is beautiful. And generally I would connect that to having connection to the higher self or having connection to other spiritual beings. And even with the stag, sorry. Which I do have a deep connection to stag energy, because before I started off with my pagan journey a while back, when I first, it was almost a decade that I've been practicing, and I started this journey with being led to the journey. So there's this one time where I was walking in the neighborhood. I had this thing where I would just walk at night. I was in a safe environment, and it was just one of my favorite things to do because I love the scenery, I love getting the fresh air, and it was the cool northeastern type of weather. So one of those nights when I was walking, I was walking through a school that was between my neighborhood in another neighborhood because I was visiting my godbrother, and I turned and there was over 10 of the stag, and one was just so close to me that I'm not sure how I even not ignored it, but I was oblivious to it until I turned. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't notice there were so many of them there. And this is what that card reminds me of, and even in the inspiration card too. There's a couple of them. I really love the it reminds me of Celtic energy, which is great because I have a Celtic goddess that I work with. And I'm sorry, that's my husky. And even the owl. The owl is one that I keep as a totem. And even the fairy counterpart that I have, the fox. Because for me, one of the practices in entering the fairy realm or entering a realm in general, the importance of being protected, and that gives you more protection and helps you guide your way through the realm. So it's amazing, even the connection with my husband, because his first card that he drew is the Strength card, which is his card in the Major Arcana in Tarot. Definitely an illuminating experience, and the reason why I would get stag and stang it in a bit like they interchange is because I found my stang in the forest and I was led by rabbits, and there is a lot of rabbit energy in here too, and this definitely feels like a springtime energy, which came at an excellent time. And I did meet the Morgan when I was in the forest and I was led by the rabbits. Just a short story: when I was visiting my friend up in New England and the woods were right next to the house, there was this rabbit and I felt like I was being led, and it kept stopping and it waited until I saw it again because I was in the house and I was out of the house, and then I walked into the woods and I found the stang, which is shaped like this. And the next day I had a vision right when I woke up. I had the two trees, and then in between was the Morgan. And I woke up because I was kind of in a between sleep and awake, and what woke me up were the fairies laughing, and I'm like, it was kind of like you're in the deep sleep, and then when you hear that, you're wide awake. So that's why these type of imagery hold significance to me too. And even my background tarot cloth is important to me, and that's what stood out to me. I'm so glad I get to use it now because I haven't used it for spreads. Now it just covers my section where I keep my clothing. So I've had amazing experiences, and even when I got yesterday's card, I got this card, and there's just such deep messages in this. And manifestation through self with the unicorn with the horn directing it, and also the sense of community that you get from the wolf, and the maternal instincts or the intuitive instincts and the strength that you get from the bear, and the spear could be aggressiveness but could be persevering through. So explore your inner wild places. And I did get this with my deck yesterday, which was the Two of Pentacles. I didn't take it out because I have shown that card a couple of times. And in that picture was my depiction of the Two of Pentacles. So it was my rabbit Lulu, my late rabbit, and also having the similar coloration because she was gray, but she kind of looked like she had a purple hue to her. It was that kind of tone. And next to her was the rabbit hole. And, you know, with the Two of Pentacles, it's important to prioritize, but sometimes you just gotta uh, get to the program and just leap into it so you'll be able to finish the task, because if you keep holding off and then doing other things, it's going to be more difficult for you to complete something. So it was an amazing message. I also have been using this deck with my Handmade runes, and these runes are super special to me because the material is weird to find. This isn't a laminate or fake. This is actually petrified mangrove wood from this area. It was a driftwood, and it just, you can even hear it and see the way that it's reserved and the minerals have run through it through years, because even after that state, it was, if you have seen a mangrove, if you go underwater and even if you're above water, you can see that the roots are in the water, and they can be like in land too. So this is the one that I got for today, Ingaz, and I've been using it with another tarot deck, the Circle of Life Tarot. This is the this is the Knight of Chalices or the Knight of Cups, and I keep it in my bag. So I love these size for circle decks, by the way. I love the round decks that I have. I mainly use two of them, which is this one and the Daughters of the Moon. This is just an amazing size, and also I love the cardstock and the warmth it has. Ancestral energy is strong in here, especially with the Fae. And this is more of a dreamlike deck too, because a lot of the interpretations at first glance, they aren't natural to the traditional systems, but when you're reading with it, it's almost like a dream state where you're looking at the cards and you're seeing the imagery and you're relating to the imagery to the reading and translating the symbology of it. Also, Fae energy in a way where things are meant to make sense but don't make sense. It's a bit of a paradox, and it seems to be something that the Fae really enjoy and love to exude in themselves. I'm sorry. Such an amazing deck. And even with the depiction of the Empress too, the Empress does have a bit of symbology, but it seems to be more confidence in self and working on inner guidance rather than the external environment that you usually see with the abundance. But you can see it in her hair too. And there is such a flow to this deck. But then again, there isn't. Because then you see something like this, and it's so interesting because when you pull the card, it really reads well. And there's just that wholesome energy to this deck. I'm thinking about what type of video I'm going to do for that. I'm just enjoying this video because I cleared out more space on my phone, so this is the second video that I'm doing. And I use one of my stands that I got. This is my smaller stand. The other one I keep on one of my altars. Sorry. And this is the card that I pulled today. And it was interesting, when I was looking at my altar today, an underlying energy, which is this card. And I was envisioning that type of facial structure on the altar, because on one of my Faery Maka altar, who's one of the aspects of the Morgan, I have a fairy mask that I nicknamed War Paint, because that's what my husband calls it with me. And I just love the colors and just the shamanic, almost Celtic look of this deck. I love the medicine bundle there because I love making medicine bundles. They're my favorite jewelry piece to make if I'm going to put it up on my shop. And I love the badger. There's definitely a flow. I love the ethereal warmth, but also mystical aspect of it. It's such a amazing feeling when somebody captures warmth. And even dolphins. And with this one, I also get articulation when you're able to get an understanding, because they do have that mental aspect in them where they're able to communicate with humans and communicate with their community in a way that humans can see too. And as I said, I love when decks have the Morgan in here. Oh, and I love how this deck doesn't have names of goddesses on here, because I do work with my goddess, and I like learning about other goddesses. This is another special card because I'm a Libra, but half of my chart is in Scorpio, exactly half of it. And I love that you can see the movement that she's getting into when she's going into this state of practice. And it looks like the clouds are clearing for her, because that's when she's really getting into her medicine, or getting into being able to get the messages. And even during winter, such an amazing deck, and you can definitely feel that. It feels like a spring deck. And even the Maiden, Mother, and Crone, or Sisters, because of the Morgan. Just love the imagery of this. It is a different cardstock, or it is a cardstock that's different from the box, because the cardstock is smooth, but then the box is a linen finish, textured linen finish. And this one's interesting. And also looking at it, looks like cycles are the circle of life. I'm sorry, I don't know if I wasn't looking, but this is an awesome one. And you're even seeing this, which could be helpful for doing transmutation. So I am about to run out of time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was an interesting video. It's a deck that I love working with, and I did put a story on how I got this deck, because I'm not purchasing mass-produced decks on Amazon right now, but I was surprised when I found this in a metaphysical shop that I randomly visited. So I'm just looking for my card because I'm going to put it back on my stand to work with today. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video. I'm sorry, that's my dog if you hear that.